Hi, we are Little Miss BBQ. We've been doing this professional barbecue for almost a year now. This is our 8th contest, and we ended up coming here to the Sam's Club regional event in Las Vegas as a wild card. We did the first contest in Gilbert, and we ended up scoring at 638 and change, and sure enough, that ended up being high enough to get us a wild card. Well, my name's Scott Holmes.
I'm Becky Holmes. We're from Phoenix, Arizona. He drove up yesterday. I flew in last night, and he picked me up. And I'm a project manager at Cancer Research Institute in Phoenix, and he's a project manager at an environmental company. And we just like barbecuing.
Yep. How many contests y'all intend to do this year?
Probably about 10 total.
Okay. How far will you travel?
This is the farthest we've traveled yet.
Hopefully to Bentonville.
Yeah, Bentonville. That's where we'll travel to.
That's what I was trolling for. Yeah, hopefully that'll be our contest in October, and we try to do a contest, 1 or 2 contests every month.
Yeah.
With both of us having full-time jobs, it's kind of hard to get the bosses on board all the time. But they know we love to go out here, and my team kind of sponsors us for the truck and time off and gas and everything like that, and her company helps her out as well. So it's really great when you have your whole company into it. But yeah, it's good stuff. We enjoy it.
Hi, I'm Rod Livingston. This is Roger Livingston. We're from Salt Lake City, Utah. We're here in Las Vegas at the Regional Sam's Contest. We got here by getting 3rd place at the Loveland, Colorado contest a couple weeks ago, where it was about 35 degrees at night and it warmed up to maybe 45 during the day. 35-mile-an-hour winds, and we were lucky we rented a trailer. We smoke on use a East Texas smoker, a reverse flow smoker, and we also use our drum smoker over there that we cook our chicken on most of the time, but not always. It just depends. And we're hoping to do a good job here, be one of the top 10, and end up in Bentonville. Sorry about that. Arkansas for the finals and get some of that $100,000 purse. And during the day, we do some barbecue catering, but we are also mortgage brokers out of Salt Lake City. And we do this about probably 12 to 15 contests a year and have a good time at it.
Now, do you have to change your cooking techniques between 35 degrees and 108?
You know, we really don't. We probably have to add a little more fuel because to keep it a little bit hotter, but we go by our smoker temperatures, so we really don't change it too much. That altitude in Loveland is the same altitude as our house. I live in actually Alpine, and they're both within 100 feet, so we didn't have any problem with the altitude. Here things are cooking a little bit quicker, but we kind of allowed for that, maybe started a little earlier or later in the day or morning. And so we hope to see everybody out there in Arkansas.
From Pacifica.
Okay, start again.
Bill Souza from Pacifica, California. Big B's Down and Dirty. These are our ribs coming off right now.
Are they hot?
Oh, they're hot. You see me rub my fingers.
All right. And what did you have to do to get here?
Oh, we had to drive 600 miles. We won at the Sacramento local contest. So we took GC. Very proud, our first one.
Your first grand?
Our first grand, yeah. Very excited.
How many contests a year do you do?
We do about 5 or 6 of them.
5 or 6?
Yeah.
That's all?
That's about it.
What do you do the rest of the week?
Work.
Doing what?
Doing what?
I work for Coney Elevator constructor.
So you don't do barbecue the rest of the week?
Oh, we barbecue almost every other weekend, though. We're always practicing.
Okay. And your team name one more time.
Big B's Down and Dirty.
All right, go.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Jones with Smokeys BBQ out of Snohomish, Washington. The team consists of James Jones, myself, Suzanne Jones, Karen Wachter, and Ken Wachter. We're a team. We'd like to try to get grand champion, of course, like everybody would today. During the week, our normal jobs are we work in the construction business, and that's us. Thank you.
What'd you win to get here?
We won Sacramento. We won first place in pork. We came in 3rd overall.
Hi, we're
Thank
Piggy
you.
D's BBQ of Winthrop, Washington. We're down here to compete in Sam's Club inaugural barbecue competition. This is the regional. We got here by placing in the top 7 in Sacramento about 2 weeks ago. And our dream is to finish in the top 10 this weekend and make it to Bentonville, Arkansas. We should be competing in about 15 competitions this year, maybe back east to the Royal or the Jaack Daniels. And that's all I got to say.
What do you do the rest of the week?
We're retired.
These are the burn ends off of the brisket. Brisket got done, I cut these off and then continued to cook them for a couple more hours. And they're just about done. You cook them to about 210 degrees so the fat gets fully rendered. And then you cut them into cubes and sit down with a good movie and nibble. So.
And you are?
My name is Dale Gretzema. I'm with Leukemia Sucks 2 Barbecue out of Vancouver, Washington.
And what did you do to get here?
I placed well enough in Sacramento.
And what do you do when you're not cooking barbecue?
I manage forecast for a paper company. I should be talking to you, shouldn't I?
No, you're talking to the microphone.
Okay.
As long as the microphone picks it up, that's okay.
Okay.
And how many contests a year do you do?
Usually about a dozen. I try and get to a couple far away, and then all the local ones. We have quite an active organization up in the Northwest that has about 30 events a year, the Pacific Northwest Barbecue Association. And they're an affiliate grandfathered in with KCBS from way, way back when there was 20 members at KCBS.
And are you doing Whistler?
I might. It depends on the schedule. I'm going to try to. That's a beautiful place. Have you been there?
We're going there this year.
Oh, are you? Okay. Yeah, that's a great event. And a grand champion is an all expense paid trip to Jamaica.
Wow.
So, yeah. Who needs money?
Introduce yourself.
All right, hey, I'm Troy Black from the Sam's Club National Barbecue Tour.
And show us what you're sampling this afternoon.
Well, today we're sampling some championship barbecue. This is pork Boston butt. The Boston butt is part of the whole shoulder, and the butt's not really from the butt, it's from the shoulder area.
Where can they buy these?
This meat came from Sam's. I buy all my meat there simply because of the quality and the selection.
What do you put on it?
Put a little dry rub on it. Today I think I used a dry rub from North Carolina called pig powder from a friend of mine over there.
Okay. And how long do you cook it? What temps?
This cooked at about 10 hours. I'm pulling it at 190 degrees. If you get the internal meat temperature up to 190, it's going to be really tender. The bone's going to slide right out. But you want to make sure you get it all the way through.
And how much are you serving to each person who comes up to see you this afternoon?
Everybody gets a sample cup of pork today.
You going to put any other sauce on it or just?
I want them to try it without the sauce. If they do try it with sauce, we've got some great KC Masterpiece for them.
Hello, I'm Arlie Bragg, and we're here in North Las Vegas this week at the Sam's Club Regional Barbecue Championship. And I'm the event director here, and so I set up all the teams, get the electrical, get the water, get the tents and the judging area in place, and everything that pertains to the word barbecue. This year, I have a series called Taste of Country, and we're running 12 contests across the United States along with a bunch of other independent contests. So this year I'm running 24 contests, and that keeps me pretty busy because I have to get all the judges, all the teams, and I've got contests from LA all the way to Saratoga Springs in New York and all points in between. So I'm going to be pretty busy this summer running contests, and I enjoy it. To get a hold of me, you can go to my website, www.arleyqevents.com, and sign up to judge and or sign up to cook the contest. And my office number is 615-758-8749.
Okay, number one had a real good taste. Hard to remember exactly. Number two I thought was very good. I really liked number two, the taste, the texture. Number three had a different flavor that I've not really tasted before. It was very good. Number five had a strange flavor that I am not familiar with and didn't really care much for it. Number four was quite spicy. Got my lips going, burning. Number 6, again, was spicy but had a very unique flavor that I really enjoyed.
Sample 1, my piece at least was a touch overcooked and not as juicy as it might have been. Also, a little too charred around the edges. A good piece, not quite there. The second piece I thought was cooked very well, was tender, was juicy. Nice balance in the spice and the sauce. Piece 3, again, was juicy. However, the piece that I had, I noticed compared to the others, was considerably more burned on one side, so that did not do it any favors. 4, I felt, was over spiced. The flavor wasn't necessarily bad. It was just entirely masking the meat. However, it was cooked well, tender and juicy. Piece 5, not nearly as spiced. I thought a nice balance, not over-sauced. I felt a nice entry. Number 6 disintegrated on its way out of the box and was somewhat dry. I felt too much sauce that was very sweet. Not necessarily against sweet, but I felt that it was overpooled on a piece that was overcooked and a little dry.
Sample number 1 had a bit of an overburned appearance, although the flavor and tenderness was actually still pretty good. Sample number 2, I felt like the pepper completely overwhelmed the sauce and the other flavor, and I really couldn't get much of the chicken flavor out of it. Sample 3, I thought actually the flavor of it was really good on the surface, but it was a larger piece, and once you got into it, into the middle of it, it was actually a little bit bland toward the center. Sample number 4 was fairly spicy, but I felt like a good balance of heat and flavor, and was cooked well, both tender and juicy. And sample 5, I actually enjoyed the flavor of it, but felt that it was a fair bit dry, maybe a little bit overcooked. And then sample number 6, again, the flavor was very, very good, and just not quite as dry as sample number 5, but a little bit overcooked and not quite as tender.
Sample number 1, thought the appearance was good, flavor base was very good overall. A little flavor that I'm not used to. Number 2, the appearance was very good on there. Moisture was very good, but the peppery flavor of that kind of overtook the overall experience away. Sample number 3, appearance good. It was a larger piece of meat. A unique flavor, but it was very, very flavorful, and I enjoyed that one very much. Number 4, the base flavor was very good, appearance good, a moist piece of meat, was pretty good product. Number 5, very good flavor, it was moist, the appearance was good, and number 6, looked good. Flavor was fair on there, but in my opinion, the piece was very dry.
Number 1, I judged that the skin did not have a bite through. The flavor was okay. Number 2, I felt was very juicy, very tasteful. I really liked that one. Box number 3, the box was a little bit dirty. That didn't impact the judging score. However, the meat was not uniform also. Number 4, there was a lot of heat, a unique flavor to it. Not sure if that was good or bad, but unique flavor and a lot of heat with it. Number 5 was very tasteful. I enjoyed that one. A little bit about the uniformity of the sauce on the meat. Could have been a little bit more uniform. And number 6 was very juicy. The pieces were not very uniform in the box, but it did have a very good flavor.
My pieces, number 1 was a little overcooked, dried it out. Number 3 was a little undercooked and made it tough. 2 and 5 were they were excellent and were scored that way. 4 and 6 very good, above average. I thought the saucing on all 6 pieces basically was too sweet, detracted from the meat. You don't really taste any smoke flavor in any of the 6 pieces of meat that I encountered, and I don't really think that the sauces on any of the 6 pieces that I tasted enhanced the meat.
All right, the first one I tried I thought was a little bit tough. Perhaps it was overcooked. Sauce was good though. I liked it. The second one, I thought the tenderness was fantastic. I gave it a 9 in tenderness. Taste was very good as well, so it was probably the best rib that I had on the plate. The third one, great smoke flavor, but probably in coming with that, it turned out and made it a little bit dry, so kind of had to average those 2 things out together. The third one, I thought it was tough. It kind of it hung on to the bone and it didn't pop right off, but it had a very nice sweet flavor to it. The fifth one, it tasted like candy. Just I'm not really heavy into sweet sauces, but it was so well done, the sauce, that I gave it good scores as far as taste because the sauce was excellent. And lastly, I thought the rib was just very average from the way it looked to the way it tasted to the tenderness. Just nothing really popped out there for me, so it was just very, very average.
These are going to sound kind of repetitious, but because well, with the first rib, I also felt that it was slightly overdone. Great for your backyard and your friends, but not up to competition quality. Number 2 was by far the top rib, both excellent in moisture and flavor. I thought rib 3 had its merits, but maybe a touch salty in the sauce, a little more than I'd like to have. Rib 4 was definitely underdone. It was too chewy, and it appears they left the silver skin on the backside, which definitely caused it to be chewier. Number 5 was probably second best. Still had a slight chew, so I couldn't give it a top score on tenderness, but excellent flavor profile. And finally, rib 6 was just underdone again. Didn't pull away from the bone, and I think they were hurt by just the quality of the rib itself. A little too gristly for this competition.
Rib number 1, I would say was pretty well cooked, slightly overdone. That makes a dryness, interferes with texture. Decent sauce. Rib number 2, I would agree, is probably the best rib. You can tell it's the one I ate the most of. Enjoyed sampling that rib. The sauce was great, spicy but not too spicy, and really enhanced the rib. Number 3 had a decent taste, but you can see that it's really heavy bark, which indicates that it was overcooked or cooked too hot. So far we've got this as the top rib. Number 4, you couldn't even get a purchase of a bite on because it was so undercooked. You couldn't even bite a piece of the meat off the bone, and the sauce was okay, average. Number 5, the rib was dry. The sauce seemed to be very good. The sauce couldn't bring up the fact that it was overdone. The last rib was underdone, and you couldn't really get a decent, clean bite off of a rib. You should be able to bite a nice, clean bite with good texture and tenderness off of a bone. You can't do that with that one. And I really disliked the sauce. It tasted like strawberry marmalade. There was no kick to it, no barbecue flavor to it. It was just sweet like marmalade.
Okay. Well, Don talked enough for all of us. So the first one I thought it was a little average, a little dry in the middle, as you can see. Number 2 was probably one of the best ribs I've tasted, as you can see, because I cleaned the bone, probably. And I had this one here, a little tough when it pulled off, but it was okay. This one was very dry. It was plain and dry. You can see there's no sauce on the side. It just was very plain and dry. This one here was a little tough when I pulled it off. had a amount with this. This one had a good appearance when I saw it, and then when I thought it was going to be very good, and I tasted it, just very average.
Well, this table was pretty good. Good stuff.
I think I agree with most of everyone else at this table on sample number 2. The only thing I have left is the bone. The taste, the tenderness, everything was very good, and it was very well presented in the appearance. One of the things that I look for in appearance is makes you want to grab at it the minute you see it, and I wanted to grab for it the minute I seen it, and gosh, the taste and the tenderness matched it. So very, very good. We had a few pieces that we had one piece that was a little tough. We had others that were just a tad overcooked, but overall it was a fairly good class of ribs, and at least at our table it should be fairly competitive.
Well, basically it was kind of a tale of two porks. We had one that the appearance was really bad, but you can't judge a book by its cover all the time because it was cooked dead on the money and had wonderful flavor. So counted down a little bit for appearance because it looked like it was just thrown into the box, but the meat itself was cooked great and had wonderful flavor. I would rank this one next. It was a beautiful box. Just wasn't quite there as far as how it was cooked. And then this one would be next. They turned it in several different ways. They had 2 different sets of slices, some pulled, one sauced, one non-sauced, which can hurt you trying to turn it in that many different ways. But basically it was 1, 2, 3, and then the other ones were overcooked. So there wasn't much difference between the other 3.
Oh, number 1. I thought it was pretty good. I thought the presentation was a little bit dry looking. And the second one, presentation was good. The meat was just a little overcooked in my estimation. At least my piece was. Third one, the taste was good, but I could they put cayenne pepper or something in with it, but they had failed to mix it properly, and I could taste the dryness of the cayenne pepper. The number 4 was good. I thought the presentation was done well, and the cooking was done well also. The 5th one, the amount of fat in the meat was just a little bit heavy for me. At least my piece was. I may have had an end, which happens. And so you don't always get the best of the meat by the time you're at the end of the run. But overall, it was a good piece of meat, good, well presented, well prepared. The last one, number 6, was a little bit overdone also, just slightly overcooked, but still a good piece of meat, but a little bit dry with kind of a lack of sauce on it.
Happy as KCBS would do away with this garnish business altogether. The Texas rules contest, don't allow any garnish. Just have a piece of aluminum foil in the bottom of the box and lay your meat on top of that. That's it.
It is optional.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, some judges don't seem to understand they're judging meat and not the greens in the box.
I think there was discussion on Facebook about garnish earlier this week.
There's always a discussion about garnish.
And how you score meat.
Well, when I judge, I try to just look at the meat and judge the appearance. I judge how does the meat look, not how does the parsley look.
That's the way it's supposed to be. Is
yeah.
Do I want to pay money to buy this? Eat it. Can I not wait to cook like?
In general, most of them were pretty good. This one to me was a little too salty, but the texture was good. This one was generally pretty good. You can see it pulled apart readily, and the flavor was good. This one was okay. A little too stretchy for me. I don't know if that's a technical term or not. This one was my favorite. It had a nice combination of barbecue flavor. You can see it comes apart readily without falling apart. So it was done just right, and it was not tough, and it was moist. This one was okay. Again, getting a little bit on the stretchy side. This one was very disappointing. It was very dry and very tough. I mean, you couldn't pull it apart at all. And then when you got a piece of the end, it was kind of salty and fatty. But for the most part, brisket is not my favorite category. So for me to really like a brisket, it has to be really good. And I would say this one was definitely the best.
Okay, thank you. Next. Using her plate? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right. The first one, I have to agree, it was a little bit salty, but it was really nice and tender. The second one was tender. It had good flavor. The third one was a bit tough, and as you can see, they left a lot of the fat on. We didn't have really good mouthfeel. The fourth one was my favorite. It had good flavor. The seasonings were balanced. Not that much fat. This one was okay. I mean, it was a good piece of brisket. And this one, the last one here, it had, I'm going to describe it as a jerky flavor. It just wasn't very good.
Okay, the first one I thought mine was a little bit dry, but it had good flavor. The second one had a strange flavor to me, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was necessarily bad or good, but it was strange to me. And it was kind of fatty, but it was fairly tender. The third one, there were 3 different cuts of meat, and one of them was really tender and juicy, and one of mine was really dry, but they left that fatty edge on it, so but it had really good flavor. The fourth one was my favorite too, because it was pretty tender, had good smoke flavor, good seasoning, not overpowering. The fifth one had the sauce on it was kind of overpowering to me in a weird, strange, saucy way, but the texture was pretty good. And the last one, it was kind of like eating beef jerky for the little strip, and the little piece just had like 10 times too much seasoning on, but yeah.
I'm agreeing with the other 3 judges. I just wanted to add 2 things. The second one, it was either the first one or the second one, tasted like it was dipped in beef broth, and all you could really taste was that beef broth flavor. You're not really getting any of the characteristics. The other comment is on number 5. I was getting big clumps of the dry rub. So you're eating it, and it's like you're getting this dry rub, strong flavor. It wasn't very balanced with the meat, or it wasn't in the smoker for, let's say, 14 or 16 hours, whatever. It tasted like they were just shaking it onto the meat right before they served it, and that was undesirable.
The first 3 were very good. The tenderness was good. The flavor was pretty good. This one here fell right apart. It was really nice. Had a good flavor to it. This also was a very good flavor. It kind of was put together well. The last one, the slices were very, very dry and very flavorless. And then the end pieces, it was all you tasted was rub. There was no meat or anything to go with it. It just was like taking it right out of a jar. Otherwise, though, overall, they were pretty good.